I'm not joking. We've been here since June. We have bought more since June to now than we did the entire year of 2024, and that's not even
Holy
close.
cow. All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Cards and Content. For anyone that is a first-time listener, welcome to the podcast, and shout out to any of you who are returning, whether you listen to one episode, 10 episodes, or every episode. I appreciate everyone joining us here. We have a very cool guest today, someone near and dear to my heart, someone who has been a friend, mentor, just great person in the hobby, fellow card shop owner Ryan Banister from RBI Crew 7 in Missouri will be joining us on the pod. Our guy Gabe Card Stacks is back for another segment of Stockwatch. We'll get into that here shortly and talk about the craziness that was this past weekend in college football. Obviously, that's a big part of our brand. It's the college football card space, so excited to have him back to continue to build that segment on the podcast. But we're going to start with the usual. The first things first, the one thing on my mind as we open up the podcast. And, we've got some feedback on some of these episodes, and I always take all this stuff to heart because I want to improve and to provide value. But the one thing I've said on this podcast is this is meant to be informative. This is meant to be helpful and insightful into different segments or areas in the space. We've had Pokemon folks like Ryan on. We've had non-sport Elizabeth Gruna, non-sport GM at PSA on. We've had card store owners like the one we'll have today. We've had people from Canada. We've had some of the biggest content creators in the industry on this podcast. We've been really privileged to have a wide group of people. We've talked about some really cool things that are happening in the market. But I've said that I've also wanted this podcast to be kind of a glimpse into what it is like to build what we are building. I think a lot of times in the content we create, we don't get to talk about some of the things going on in the space. A lot of our content for the longest time has been buying and transacting at shows, whether that be Grove City Card Fest or Shipshawana or Dallas or the National. You name it, we've likely created content there, some of the biggest card shows in the world. But for so long, especially post Card Talk days, when I was on that podcast with some amazing people, it's not been a lot of opportunity to talk about what we're building. And this is something that I enjoy talking about. This is something I enjoy sharing. I don't talk a lot about it publicly other than this podcast about, this idea that we are building something really, really cool. So, I look at it as today as the one thing on my mind is around this idea around growth and hiring. We're in this point in our business now where we have grown rapidly over the last 18 months. We have 27 current people a part of this team, and that did not happen overnight. And that is something I am I'm extremely honored to have built something really cool with so many people that, I care so much about. But we've come to this point now where we're really trying to grow. I've gotten some good feedback from some just people I admire in the industry over the last 2 to 4 months about how to really grow and scale businesses. One person that comes to mind, if you watch our YouTube channel, you've seen you've seen the video we just recently released about going to Buffalo, going to Dave and Adams and doing a deal there for the Whatnot Card Show, which we'll get into a second. But Adam Martin was on the podcast recently, and this is someone I've gotten to know over the last, really since the National. I've known Adam for a decade plus, but really have gotten the chance to talk to him lately. And among other people, just talking with people that are where I want to be in the space, where we want to be in the space, and how we get there. And we're really in this point now with, as we start Q4, we're still early in October here, early in Q4. But as we look to end the year strong and look to really position ourselves to be even bigger in 2026 and beyond, we're at this point now where it's fun, but it's also, insanely hectic. where we're really trying to grow. Truthfully, I sat here, Brian's been with me, Brian, 5 years now? 5 years, right? Brian's been here 5 years since we opened the new card store. It was Brian and I mean, going to shows, traveling, making content. Like, it was just him and I for so long. We had 6 people at the time. Now we sit here and we're talking about conversations around, CFOs and content directors and so many things that, like, so many different positions in the business that we didn't ever envision happening 5 years ago. And I don't say that for any reason other than to give, for those people out there trying to build something cool as well. Like, this has been such a learning experience. I set out to create content to show people what it was like to buy and sell cards. Like, I'm very open about this. I wanted to show the next generation what it was like to buy and sell cards, mail days, why I was buying the things I was buying. I didn't envision building a 27-person company at 32 years old. That was never in the plans. I wanted to do this because this is what I love. This was better than working the job I had before. If I can make a few bucks and be happy, that was the goal. And as we've gotten, the opportunity to grow over the last year, 18 months, it's been a really eye-opening experience to go from card collector to the content creator, to card collector to the business owner, CEO of a 27-person company that is in this rapid growth stage where we're looking to hire and looking to expand. And I say this humbly as, like, it's been a challenge. I've known sports cards for 20 years. It's been my life for as long as I can remember. But really understanding how to grow a business and how to scale has been a fun challenge. And I think that's, it goes back to my point earlier around a lot of people get on this looking to talk about Labubu cards. We'll get into that in a second. And Topps basketball is here and coming in 10 days, 7 days at this point. Those things are all going to be conversations we'll have, but it's also meant to, talk about what it is like to build what we are trying to build and share the experiences we have. And I've been very open about that. I've talked about it before on cash flow, and, managing cash flow at this scale has been something I wouldn't say a challenge, but it's been something I've had to keep a closer eye on than, ever before. I know it's been taken out of context. I've seen the video titles around Card Collector 2 has cash flow issues. That's, that was not obviously meant to be that, the point of that, because that is not a concern. But it's, when we say things, it's not meant to, do anything other than to show people a little bit behind the curtain, because this is not something we have done before. This is not going to the Dallas Card Show and spending $100,000 on sports cards to sell and whatnot, or to reload our showcases. This is not that content. This is meant to be very real and very raw about what it is like in the sports card industry in 2025 to build a company. And that is what I'm trying to show, and talk about sports cards too, and talk to some really good people. Some on a weekly basis. Shout out to my guy Gabe Card Stacks, or some really cool guests that we get to have on the pod. So, it's been an interesting time, while also being some of the busiest times we have had. We're in a month now where we have some of the biggest releases we've had all year. Flawless basketball, flawless football, eminence basketball, all in a short period of time as we approach the single biggest release ever in our company. Bowman Chrome University football. This is a staple product in our company. This is the single biggest product we ever buy. This is the most we ever buy of a product. We break more of this product than we ever will. Bowman Chrome University football is a big piece of our brand, a big piece of our goal. On top of that, you'll have Eminence football coming out. You'll have Topps basketball for the first time in over 10 years. You've got the Whatnot Card Show coming up. I'll get into that in a second. The biggest live stream we've ever done is relatively soon. Then you get into, again, right after that, Bowman Chrome University football. Right after that, you've got Black Friday. Right after that, you've got the holiday. November, December are usually two of the crazier months of the year just in terms of sales volume. So trying to maintain some of the goals we have now and to grow at the same time, man, what a I can tell you this is not something I ever envisioned, but it's been again, it's been a challenge. It's been different than anything I've ever experienced. Again, going from content creator to more business owner and someone that is trying to learn how to run and grow and manage a business all at one time. It's just been different. So, again, I hope to share more about that process soon and what that has been like. But again, I think it's important for me to talk about some of the raw experiences of what it has been like to build this. So, yeah, selfishly, I'll say hopefully we can hire some really good people and position ourselves to, be in a good spot in 2026. There are a lot of people in this space that have built something really, really cool that I admire. Adam Martin at Dave and Adams is one of them. I got to see it firsthand. The 200 plus person company in this space is incredible. I could only dream of building something a fraction of that size. But to see it up close and personal has really just motivated me to really try to get some things in order and really try to shoot for the stars and in terms of building something in the space. Because I think we're in an incredible moment right now in the sports card industry where there's a lot of good momentum. I've talked about it time and time again around. It feels a lot like COVID, but overall just a smarter market. You see the right things making progress. You see the big cards, the iconic stuff, the as you maybe we call it safer cards, the safer investments, the GOAT stuff specifically doing well. It just seems like a cool time. So excited to continue to build this podcast, build the content, build our brand, and ultimately share what it is like to do this. So hopefully I can continue to provide value to those of you listening, whether that just be sports card knowledge, great guests who can give some insights on what is going on in their portion of the market. And just talk about what it is like to build a company. So shout out to those of you, again, seriously, who are listening, providing feedback, sharing clips on social, leaving, the 5-star reviews anywhere you can get your podcast. It's been a lot of fun to kind of build this and, again, create content that is not, the buying and selling cards live at a show. So, again, if you're listening, I definitely appreciate that. So, more updates coming from the card piece, the business side of this soon. But I've mentioned it a few times so far as we talk about some of the craziness that is happening in planning and growth. One of the things we have coming up, again, I have to talk about, just not even as like a plug for what it is, just for the idea of again talking about the growth in the business, is the Whatnot Card Show. This happens twice a year. Obviously, we do a lot of content with Whatnot. We are, on there 7 days a week, 7 times a day, 8 times a day. We spend a lot of time on Whatnot. It's a big part of our business, a big part of our brand. They're great partners to us. And the Whatnot Card Show happens in the spring and in the fall. The next one is the weekend of October 23rd. It's the 23rd through the 26th. We will be live. I will be live specifically on the 23rd, 7 p.m., 12-hour stream. We did a stream earlier this year. The goal, I think we talked about, was 5,000 orders. We had never come close to that. We wanted to do 5,000 orders. We did 9,300, 12-hour stream. It was bananas. Exceeded expectations, which was great, but created a lot of logistical things. When you expect to do, 4,000 to 5,000 orders and you do double that, well, the supplies, the shipping team, just the logistical things that go into shipping that many orders, that many packages, that many items, we were not prepared for. This time, we've become a lot more prepared for it. And I think this is something I've learned in business, that being prepared as much as possible in an ever-changing industry, right? Things change quickly all the time. That is one thing I've said about this industry when we hire people, is this is not something you can prepare for 2 years as well. You can't prepare as well for 2 years down the road because things change so constantly. Topps basketball and football license, we've been talking about those forever. Those are finally here now. Now we're going to see what it's like with Topps creating so much of the product. These are some of those things happen in advance and you have time to prepare for them. And some things, rules change, all the time with, within the industry. So I think getting prepared for this has been a huge advantage for us. We went out to Dave and Adams, released some content about that, around going out there and buying 25,000 individual packs to then resell at a discount on the Whatnot Card Show. So 5,000 Prism basketball blaster packs at $1. That will obviously be a big sell. We talked about it, I think, last week about the Prism Black basketball. This idea, we ripped this case. I said it then, and I will say it. Like, I think this is one of the best basketball products Panini's released ever. They happened to release it at the end of their licensing. A lot of redemptions, but some really, really cool hits. We ripped a case, top card in every box. We said we would give away on the Whatnot Card Show. One of those boxes happened to be a Curry and KD Color Blast. Relatively expensive card. That card's going to sell for a lot. We're giving that away on the show. We ripped a case of Flawless Football. We want some dollar auctions. We want some quality stuff people can bid on and win, hopefully, at a good price. We ripped a case of those. Every card we pulled there, we're going to sell at $1. Everything we got from Dave and Adams, the Prism Black cases, all of the cards we're going to put up for sale, just the time and strategy and logistics around a sale of this size has been fun and challenging to learn how to build it. Again, we used to run one break a day with 30 NBA teams or 32 NFL teams. Now you're running sales with 25,000 plus orders. Just that volume. Again, it is like business. It's been fun and challenging to try to manage what it is like at that kind of scale and at that kind of volume. Again, this was not in some of the earliest goals of this company, but it has been something that has been a lot of fun to kind of figure out what's the best way to do it. So I'm excited to share how that goes. Again, we joked about it in the video with Dave and Adams, but we went from 5,000 orders to doing 9,000 to maybe the reasonable goal would have been 10,000 or 12,000 orders. Instead, we've kind of gone all out for 25,000. So that is coming up. Again, shameless plug for it. That was not the intention of this. It was more to talk about what it is like. Again, I want to kind of share some of the insight on growing this and building this and how we're doing it. And that is certainly a big part of our year. Hopefully we can, have some great turnout for that, give some life-changing cards away, and sell some cool packs at a discount. So if you're free next Thursday, again, October 23rd, 7 p.m. Eastern to 7 a.m. Eastern, we'll be live 12 hours for the biggest live stream we've ever done. So October 23rd is also another special day for another reason, though, and that is the release of Topps Basketball. The first Topps basketball product since they took over the license on October 1st will release Cooper Flag cover athlete for this. Early indications are this product is going to crush. I will tell you, we pre-sell items. Again, unintentional shameless plug. We try to pre-sell product on our website. So if you'd like something, we try to be competitive. We offer free shipping on hobby boxes. We put these products on our website. Some of our best sellers lately are two products. Ohio State NIL has been a big product for us. We got a lot of that. We have sold through a ton of it. That product has Jeremiah Smith, Caleb Downs, Julian Sayin, some of the best Buckeyes on the best team in the country right now. Sold a lot of that product. The second best seller recently, without question, Topps Basketball. No doubt. Hobby, Jumbo, we have sold a tremendous amount of this product early. Really, really strong for pre-sale numbers. I can't think of a product that is pre-sold this well for us in quite some time. There has definitely been really good demand for this product early. Excited to see it. I talked about it last week around the next day autos with the Steph Curry in the past and, what those look like. But I can sit here and tell you, since we've added that product post that podcast last week, we didn't have it on at that time, post that podcast being released last week, we have sold a tremendous amount of this product. So early momentum for this seems like it is going to be a really, really strong release. So like a lot of these things, excited to kind of follow up on that later and see where it goes, because I have a feeling this release is going to be big. And then I would imagine Topps follows up Topps Basketball with some kind of release before the end of the year. I just can't imagine we get to the, through the rest of Q4 with no more Topps Basketball. That seems unlikely to me. I don't have any indication there is or isn't anything coming. But as I sit here now, it would make sense there's more coming. With an already packed football release calendar from Panini, I would imagine as basketball season gets going, we're going to see some really cool stuff. And And I posted this on Instagram, but I think you got to give a lot of credit to Topps for some of the marketing behind this early on. They released an ad this morning. We're filming this on Tuesday, so a day earlier than release. But they released an ad on there. It says like Cooper Flag reveals his official NBA rookie trading card. It is a collaboration post also with the NBA. And it's also got Topps Hoops. It's got the NBA and it's got Topps. And it's like this little short clip, and it's got like KD, Tracy McGrady, Cooper Flag, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, and they're like opening up like a mailbox or some kind of like package, and then it ends with like a younger collector like pulling something out of a pack, and then it shows Cooper Flag revealing his Topps rookie card. Again, I've said it before, but you have to give credit to a company like Topps who is looking to get eyeballs on this industry. A collaboration post with the NBA that has 30,000 likes in 4 hours. I would imagine the views on this have to be pretty high. But to get that kind of attention from non-collectors with a direct post with the NBA, again, as someone that is very invested and very interested in the long-term success of this hobby, I feel like you just can't beat something like that. So I think we're setting up for a really big release that weekend. Then again, for us, the week afterwards is Bowman Chrome U. So the end of October is going to be a lot of fun. But we're really close. We've been talking about it for a long time, but we sit here today and we're really close to the release of Topps basketball. It's going to be a lot of fun. So excited to get more into that. All right, last little quick announcement. We had Elizabeth Gruna on here, the GM of non-sport at PSA. And we kind of made a joke, I was like, are we going to get graded Labubus? And she talked about it. And while it doesn't seem likely, we had a little segment with her talking about those. But we do have Labubu trading cards. Topps also announced, again, I'm going to speak today. If you're listening to this, it'll actually be yesterday because we're, again, recording on Tuesday. But Labubu trading cards are coming. They show some superfractors. They show some autographs. I've never bought a Labubu. I don't know anyone personally who has bought a Labubu. Actually, that's wrong. I think Stephanie Mama Breaks has bought a Labubu. Shout out to Stephanie. I know like a handful of people that have bought them. Don't know much about it. But this idea that Labubu has cards already, again, like this is unintentional credit to Topps. Like I would love to have some criticism and, I don't want it to think that this is like meant to just praise Topps. But Labubus have not been hot for, decades. Again, I'm not in the Labubu space, but this seems like more of a cultural thing in a more short term. So to bring this idea to life so quickly, you got to give credit for them to capitalize on this moment while it is here. Not going to be something I'm going to be like, hey, I need, a Labubu superfractor in my life. That's not for me. But again, it is very culturally relevant right now. Whether you collect it or not, there are definitely people out there that do. So interesting to see. Again, we'll see how it does on the secondary. We talked about it last week around the success of SpongeBob and Disney. You have Disney Wonder coming out before too long. Labubu's getting cards. Clearly, Topps has spent a lot of time and energy growing the non-sport brand. I'm very curious to see how this product does. If it has the same appeal and collectability as the actual Labubu dolls, is that the right word? Themselves? We'll see. But again, we'll give credit where credit's due around capturing a moment while it is still culturally relevant. I think that's what Topps has done here on Labubu. So, a lot of time on interviews in Stockwatch this week, so I'm going to kick it over to our interview with Ryan, and I'll be back and we'll recap the latest launch this week. All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. We have a very special guest today. Our friend Ryan Banister, owner of RBI Crew 7 Sports Cards in Missouri, joining us on the pod today. Ryan, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for stepping away from the busy days at the shop and joining us on here.
Thanks for having me, Ryan. I appreciate you reaching out and this opportunity. We go way back, so it's going to be a lot of fun, I think. So, yeah, what better way to do it on a Monday? We're closed. I mean, I got a lot of office day stuff, but I wanted to squeeze the time. I felt like this would be the best day to do it. So thank you for having me on, buddy.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, and normally I always start with like who you are, how we got right here, like, and we'll get into that in a second. But I think it's this interview is special for me for a couple of reasons. I've shared a lot about my journey into cards, into the hobby, and how I got started. And there's two names that always come up simultaneously together when I talk about my journey into the hobby. So when I started my card shop in May of 2019, there were two people who were like instrumental in helping me open. Andy Albert in Indy is one of them, and Ryan Banister, the man on this podcast today, is the other person. I'm very, very open about the fact we'll talk about the hobby and so much fun stuff today, but I'm very open about the fact that like if you were not there, I'm not sure I know my store wouldn't have lasted. So Ryan was great. You were great in helping me get product when that was a lot harder, giving me 7 to 14 days to pay, just really helping me put stuff on the shelf and giving me time to pay for it as I was trying to build up cash flow and clientele and offer different stuff. It was instrumental to me. So before we even get to the podcast, I just want to publicly, I know we've had these conversations before, but I just want everybody to know how instrumental you were in, the early days of this journey.
Well, thank you. I'm humbled by that. I really appreciate that and the kind words. And I'll give you your $5 after the podcast, Venmo or whatever, for saying that stuff. No, but no, I'm proud of you, man. I'm really proud to see what you've accomplished. We go way back. I mean, I think minimum 10, 11 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned Andy Albert. Andy Albert is very instrumental into our success as much as yours. So kudos to Andy, but thank you. That it means a lot to me for you to say that. And I'm always here for you and any other person that wants to do a hobby shop the right way and is about this hobby and the growth of it. And you definitely have knocked that all out of the ballpark and then some. You're Mr. Famous now. When I knew you were just good old Ryan Johnson. Now I'm here with a dead set legend, card collector too, getting interviewed.
Still the same person, man. But I appreciate the kind words for sure. But let's get into this today because I think this is going to be fun. I think it's going to be really valuable to those who are interested in building a brand and building a card store. You've done this for a long, long time and have built something really, really special. And I've seen it in person. I've seen the processes. I've seen just the way that this thing goes, and it is really cool. So let's go back to the question I mentioned earlier, the very beginning. Who are you, and how did we get right here?
Well, I'm Ryan Banister. I am founder of RBI Cruise 7 alongside Neil Kenworthy, who's known as Cruise 7. I'm known as RBI, part of it. So go back to collecting cards, late 80s, early 90s. I'm going to show my age here. Obviously, back then, the card everybody wanted was the 89 Upper Deck Griffey. At that time, they were $100 back in early 90s, which is crazy to think that much for a card back then. But Dad got me into it, traded car parts for cards to some 16-year-old kid in the neighborhood that wanted to build a car, and he wanted to get cards into my life, and the rest is history. So RBI Crew 7 was formed in 2007, basically a YouTube channel that we don't even do anything with anymore, which you're very familiar with YouTube. But so Neil and I formed RBI Crew 7 to do group breaks and just kind of enjoy the hobby together. And fast forward again to 2012, we opened up our first store in Florissant, Missouri in January 9th of 2012 in 1,000 square foot little small in the middle of Old Town Florissant. We were there from that moment until the end of 2019, and then we moved into St. Peters, Missouri, which you've been to that store.
Yep.
The one there was about 1,400 square feet. We were there from beginning of 2020 up until this past spring. It was a great time there. We first moved in and boom, COVID happened. So we were very concerned at the beginning because we had made a huge transition in so many ways. It was nice being closer to home, but my rent went up like 4x. And about 2 or 3 weeks, there was kind of panicking. And then we should say the rest is history with the COVID and cards. We know that now. But so we were there. And now we are in home. We call this home now. We're in O'Fallon, Missouri, which is about 6 minutes down the road from the previous card shop. Sorry, phone's ringing. We're closed, but there's the phone. So we've been here since June of this year. We had bought this building in April of last year. We found it. We closed out October of last year, did a whole build out. This new building, we went from, let's put it this way, 1,000 square foot, 1,400 square foot, and now this is an 8,300 square foot
Holy
building that we
cow.
have everything under one roof now. Our retail space is 2,000 square feet. Our event space is 1,000 square feet, and then the rest is the one of the offices I'm in. We have a podcast breaking room over there. We do breaks with, and then the rest is warehouse, and then we've got obviously an actual break room where my staff can eat and stuff. So, very blessed to be where we're at now. This is the final stop to us. We have just one shop, but we've been to three places, and no desire to move out again. That was the hardest week of my life and many others.
Can't
Ask
imagine.
just ask John Yates, the sheriff. I think he lost 10 years of his life in those 5 days he helped us move. He could attest to that. But no, man, it's been a journey. Like you said, you've got a journey, I've got a journey. We started in 2012. We had no money. We borrowed $6,000 from one of my best friends, Bruce Schwartz, who owns Reset STL, a couple of the Reset stores out here. Still been best friends to this day. And when we opened the doors, we had about $1,200 in our bank account in 2012. That's it. And we built it on a dream and a hope, and so many countless days we didn't have a customer walking in, and you're praying for sales and you're praying for customers, and man, times have changed, but I'm truly blessed to be where we're at. We've worked so hard to get to this point. I have an incredible team under me, which again, going back to Andy Albert, he's taught me a lot about that,
Yep.
and I'm
Oh yeah.
sure you can contest that as well. Is just you're only as strong and only as good as the team under you, and we would not be where we're at now at this level that we're in if it wasn't for the team. It was just me and Neil when it started, and it was that way for a long time, and we were just blessed to have so many great people under us being friends or family.
Yep.
It's a wild to where we're at today. And we're looking forward to bigger and better things here at the new location. But just to give you a sum up, that kind of tells you a little bit about our journey. And I'm sure we might talk more about it, but
Yep.
kind of who we are.
Yeah, and I think this is gonna be fun for me too because I've known you throughout so much of this. I mean, the early Instagram days, you go back to 2013. You hadn't been open that long, and I've seen the shops, the different locations, the content. So I think this is gonna be fun just because you can cover so much of the things we like to talk about on this podcast. But walk me back through some of the early days, like when you just opened, didn't have a lot of money. What were some of those early days like in shop as you're trying to build it? I'll start there and then I have a follow-up question.
One word comes to mind: scary. It's even though our rent was $400 a month, I didn't really take a paycheck at the time.
Yep.
I wasn't married to Shannon yet. She was actually working in Marion, Illinois, running a Finish Line store, so I could focus on the store here for kids and everything. But I did it because I loved it. And
Yep.
you just again, you may have been open a day and you may only had one person walk in. May it be Zach Rice or some of the regulars. You just didn't know what to expect, but also who you were when you first opened to where however long your journey goes, you're not the same person. And I've grown up so much and matured so much from where I started to where I am in so many great ways. And again, I just can't fathom to what it was like versus what it is now. But again, back to the word scary. You just don't know. Are you going to make it? Are you going to make it in another month? Are you going to make it in 2 months?
Yep.
Is this going to happen? And luckily, we were just blessed by so many people that wanted to come out and support us. The biggest things we did back then were bi-monthly trade nights, which were massive hits
Yep.
back then. And we would pack that shop full of people, shoulder to shoulder, and people just came in from all over the country to be there to wheel and deal. So those were kind of our bread and butter. We relied heavily on those trade nights because it hindered how much money we were able to do in one night that kind of made us last a month. So
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I remember some of those trade night posts from back in the day. I mean, it was like trade night 67, trade night, 92. Like, I remember the numbers because this is something I tell my team. But like when we started running trade nights in the very beginning, like we don't keep as much track of it anymore. But I was very interested in keeping track of it. Like, I wish we would have kept up with that a lot more, but it was trade night 1, trade night 2, trade night 3, trade night 4, trade night 5. Like, I wish we would have kept up with it because I started doing it because you were doing it when I was like, that would be cool to see, like, okay, trade night number 50, trade night number 100, trade night,
yeah.
like I thought those milestones would be cool to celebrate and go even bigger for. Now, obviously, you have Topps Hobby Rep Night now. That's such a bigger event. Like, you kind of get this own, like, free, this is the biggest event of the year kind of thing. So I'm sure you go, pretty hard for those. Like that's obviously a big event for us. But I remember seeing some of those early days on your Instagram page around like, hey, trade night number 16 is coming up. It's next week. Like bring out your cards. And I think a lot of what we're going to talk about today is content based. So while I would have probably preferred to get into this a little bit later into the podcast, one of the things I think that, again, and you can correct me if I'm wrong or you disagree, but I think one of the things that has really been instrumental for you guys that I know has worked for us is the content piece of things. You are, one thing I will give you a ton of credit for is you are very, very open to sharing behind the scenes, like what goes on behind the scenes at a card shop. I think this is huge. I think this is something that was helpful for me early on, was I was very willing to show like, this is who I am. This is my life. This is what I buy. This is what I sell. Like this is what happens on a daily basis. We've done day in the life. You're very good. Your team is very good, but specifically like you getting on the camera saying, hey, we just picked this up today. Hey, we've got this. Hey, we've got this. Like you were very good about showing behind the scenes, building your community. You've mentioned a couple people, you talk about John Yates as the sheriff. Like you've given personalities to people. You've done a really good job of like building a community and showing behind the scenes. So I just want to talk around like what has the content done for you and for, RBI Crew 7 as you've been building a card shop in, the modern day age where everything is, on the internet.
I will first off say my way of content is as good as it used to be. I'll be out first to admit that. But we try the best we can. And I think the biggest thing is consistency with it.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, we're using Instagram and Facebook to our advantage at all times. Again, we probably should figure out the YouTube thing, but I know that requires a lot more. You do a phenomenal job of content. You, Kyle's Cards, Mojo, all you guys. We follow a lot of great guys like yourself that do a lot of amazing things with content. So again, I appreciate you saying that. I feel like I'm behind the curve, but I think we do just enough to where it is still intriguing for even somebody like you, which is awesome to hear. So, but I think it's important to show who you are, who your staff is. I'm not, I think you could test this. You're probably never really on the floor as much. You're a behind the scenes guy. And I am very much the same.
Oh yeah.
Now, I don't travel as much as you do, and I know that's calmed down, but, I'm so behind the scenes. I'm dealing with manufacturers, distributors, rebuys, market on pricing, just a lot of things that, again, I can't be out on the floor to be the face like I used to be. And I think the biggest thing I want to show is RBI Crew 7 just isn't Ryan. It just isn't Neil. It's an entire crew. It's our family that we have here now. So it goes back to like Tyson, he's been there since day one, helping us break down the first ever shop, is our lead buyer. We show a lot of video of him. Nathan's got a nickname, BSG, Tyson's Magdorn. I think we just, we have fun here. And I think people see that. And I've just got a great team. And that's the biggest thing about it. They're very open-minded. They're fun. They're like, we get to work in a card shop. We
Yep.
get to literally live our childhood dream. And it's my childhood dream to do this, but
Yep.
never thought we'd get to here. And I think the content that we do, it shows that at all times. I love doing behind the scenes. What's going on in the office? What are we doing? What did we buy today? Again, we're trying to get better at processing and pricing things faster than ever. It is unbelievable how much stuff that we can't get to that we have in backstock, and I'm sure you can contest to that. But again, I think it's just engaging to your audience to just show that. I love watching the deals you do. I'm like, hey, negotiating back and forth. I learned a lot from Pawn Stars. When I was in college, I was sitting there and I just watched Pawn Stars all the time, and that was kind of the original first ever type of wheeling and dealing.
Yeah, for sure.
If there's no Pawn Stars, who knows if you guys are doing these things at card shows and showing your deals go down. But I love watching it. I'm not at these shows do it as much anymore, and I don't really do the buying and shop anymore. But the interaction is huge, and I just shows you on the videos you as a person, who you are, and how you hold yourself. And I think I have a team that does that as well. Who, again, Tyson is great with people. People love coming with Tyson. They don't even care to deal with me. They're like, I don't even need to deal with Ryan. I just want to deal with Tyson. And I love it. And I make a joke to them all the time. I go, there's only two people in this world that like to spend my money more than anything. That's you and my wife. And
I get that.
I love it. I'm like, Tyson, just buy it. We want to continue to buy, but we also want to continue to get a video out there every day we can. to show that even if it's a story video, stories I think are huge because it tells a story, a daily story of what's going on in the day in life of RBI Crew 7, what's going on in the day in life of Card Collector 2, Indie Card Exchange. I love seeing those. I love watching stories. I
Yeah.
don't have time, to sit there and go post to post, but I can do a quick story. Oh, cool. I'll just watch every interval of what you posted. And again, I think that goes back to the key word I said, consistency. And you're very consistent in everything you do. I like to say we are very consistent in the things we do. We may not do them up to the 2025 way of content, but I think we do enough to show. And again, it's grabbing your attention, and that says a lot for it.
Yeah, I think you hit on a lot of good points there. I think the authenticity piece is such a big one. Just like that was one thing I was very big on is like just this is like who I am. This is what I'm doing. This is how we do it. That's one thing I've really taken from like your content is like you just post so much of the process. And for somebody that's interested in being building a card store, I see your content. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like we should do this. Like why don't we post more of these? Like we should learn how to process cards and get them up on the website faster. Like I've always watched your content and it's again like someone that wants to be there and to build that. I'm like, we could do this, we could do this. Like so I use it as a way to learn and I think that's, from building a community perspective, you just show so much behind the scenes, like you're so open about it. That's one of the things that I've taken away from it. I just think is so big. But you also mentioned another point in there. You talk about like I'm not the main person buying. I don't go to as much shows anymore. I can resonate with this completely and I get this, but talk me through kind of, what this has been like for you to really delegate out some of the things that have gotten you to where you are, right? Like those things, going to shows. I mean, when we first met, like we stayed at a I don't know what hotel you had me at in
I
Cincinnati in
I know.
2017. Like shout out. This how long we've known each other. Like 2017, it was like me,
Yeah.
Ryan, Tyson, John Yates, Mike Kantz, Matt Fang.
Pants.
Like there
Yep.
was there were some people. We
Yep.
were at this like hole in the wall hotel. This was not the best hotel. It went to this little tiny bar and we were watching the 2017 NFL draft
NFL draft.
together.
Yes. I
That was
remember
when
that.
the
Yep.
Moeller show was
Yes.
going on. Like I've talked about this deal with Cance. Like the deal fell through. It was supposed to be. It was a huge deal. Cance and I felt the deal fell apart over $1,000. But like you used to go to shows. Like those things obviously don't happen now. You have kids.
Yeah.
You're not the face in shop buying all of the time. Talk me through that delegation process, what that has been like. But I'm gonna also guess you're gonna tell me this has been a pretty important part of RBI Crew 7 and the growth.
Yeah, no, it's just funny you taking me back. I don't forget that you were cheating on your phone, looking on the internet before the pick came in, and just being a little. I'll bet somebody $100
Hammer,
this guy
dude,
goes here
Hammer,
and busted,
dude, that was because it was like Hammer and
busted.
Mike were going back and forth, and Mike's like, I
Yep.
beg to tell you this pick was,
Gosh.
and you could get on Twitter, and I was sitting right next to Cance, I'm like, this is the pick, and Cance would say, hey, I think it's this guy. He's like, no way. He's like, yep, sure enough. Everyone's like, how do you keep getting all these? I think he got like 8 in a row.
Oh man, good, great
Great
times. I mean,
times.
I don't remember the hole in the wall, but I used to go to that Mueller show like clockwork. We would do the November and the April one, and I love the April because of the NFL draft and tradition. I don't miss the draft. Neil and I started watching the NFL draft together since 2007, and we have not missed one since. So it's kind of been it's yeah. You're a big draft guy too,
Oh
so
yeah,
we don't have to go.
huge.
But great times, man. It's crazy. But no, going back to what you were saying about, I'm very humbled to say that you know, you've watched our stuff and you've taken that and you've done a great job. I may not be able to grab the audiences like I would say I used to, but you've done that and you've done with it way more and better than I could have done. And you've shown people the process, but you said you kind of took that from me and like an Andy. And that means a lot again to me that you've taken that, but you've done a phenomenal job with it. You got your guy, Brian, there's awesome. You got a great team and I'm proud to see where you're at with that. But going with us, not going out to shows as much. Yes, I have not one, not two, but three kids these days, and Parker, my oldest, just turned 9, which is crazy. It's wild. But yeah, dude, it flies. It is insane. And
9 years
that was
old.
him when he
Oh
was
my God.
1 back there. That was 1 years old back there. But it's just I would love to get. I used to love going to shows. Shows were to me were the bread and butter. I felt like I was knowledgeable to go out to these shows, dig in bargain boxes, find deals. I'm always just very, very, I love the hobby. So I'm
Yeah.
passionate about it and I think I can easily talk about it and I can deal with people very easily. And do I miss those days? Absolutely. But a part of me doesn't. And I'm glad that I'm here raising my family and putting my focus on this store. This store is everything I want it to be, and that's where my heart and everything is right now. So going to the shows is as much, but I still hit a few ones. Actually, taking Parker to our father-son Columbia Card Show at Columbia, Missouri, where Mizzou plays this Friday to stay the night and go to that show on Saturday, which I'm excited about. We do Chicago twice a year, the Sports Spectacular, and then we do the National. Besides that, it's just hard to get out there and do that. So where do I buy? How do I buy now? I don't like to buy online unless I know somebody. We buy in the shop, and I don't really do the buying, like you said.
Yeah.
And it's been awesome to really teach Tyson, and not just Tyson, Nathan and Matt and the other guys. I've delegated out a lot. I learned a lot, again, going back to Andy Albert. I think Andy Albert is very important to both these Ryans sitting here right now, myself and you. And Andy has taught us a lot. And the biggest thing is he taught me to let the reins go. And I used to not want anybody to do anything. Literally, I'm like, nope,
Yeah.
I'll price that card. Nope, it's $1 card. I'll price it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't believe how far I've come from there to here. And it's just learning to let go and trust the process. I'm going to say it, but just delegate it out the way it needs to be. And the biggest thing I think I've done best at is I really see the strength and weaknesses in people. And I love reading. I read people. I can read people great. And I've done this. Has been, I guess, a great quality inside of me in a good way. And I'm like, hey, you're not good at this, but you're really good at this. So you need to come off this. We don't want to focus on that anymore. I'll get somebody else who can do that. And I want you to do this. It was never our intent to have Tyson become our lead buyer. It was never the plan. But the second we moved into this building here, it was a game changer. We moved in here in June, and the amount of buying, I was talking to Josh, Minnesota Josh, and in Sports Cards this morning. We talk almost every day. I'm not joking. We've been here since June. We have bought more since June to now than we did the entire year of 2024, and that's not even
Holy
close.
cow.
It is insane how much we've done, but I think it's because we have implemented a buying station for Tyson. We have put him out there to say he is our buyer. He is here 5 days a week. When he's not here, Nathan's here. We are buying 6 days a week that we're open. Bring us your cards. And that has been huge for us, for people to do that and come in and take advantage. And then outside of that, I have 3, 4, 5 people on the floor helping customers. Hey, let me train you. Hey, this is what I want you to do. But all these people that run it, barring my wife, who will be first to admit, she's like, I'm not knowledgeable about 90% of this
Yep.
card wise, but she's always good to go, hey, this person's strength is this. I've got a great team that they all have their strengths in certain things, and we have them focus on it. And when they don't, go to the next person that's strength in that area. So again, delegating has been huge, letting go of the reins, just knowing you have a team that cares about you as much as this shabby shop, as much as the community, as much as the collector. All those things come together, and it's a perfect recipe for success, in my opinion, especially in this industry. And I know you have a amazing team under you. Andy and Andy Carter Chain has one of the best teams out there.
Oh, for sure.
And again, I love going to his store and just being around his guys. And I think the same, people feel the same way they come here. People probably feel the same, more likely feel the same way they go to your store. Unfortunately, I haven't been to any of your stores. I suck. Fail on me. I owe you a trip. So, but I'll be out there one day. Maybe I'll go there incognito and see how they do.
No,
I
I
tell
mean,
you.
listen, we have the Columbus Zoo, we have Easton, we have downtown. The Blue Jackets are opening tonight. The Blue Jackets open tonight. That's
Yeah.
12 minutes away. The greatest show on turf. Not the St. Louis Rams, but the the Ohio State University Buckeyes play right down the road. Like, listen, there's a lot of reasons to come to Columbus outside of your friend,
There is.
and your friend Card Collector 2 has a store here, but that's neither here nor there. We can get into that at a much later time. But no. But seriously, I think the team.
You're selling. It sounds a lot better to go to yours than mine, because very much we ain't got an NFL team here anymore. Cardinals stink. We got the Blues. We got the Battlehawks. We got the Zoo and Arch. There you go. So
I think the only difference is I can say that I have been to your store. That's the difference. That's what I'm trying to sell you is like, hey, Shannon, the kids, like,
you have.
listen, we can open some packs out here. Like, I'm all for it.
You better have plenty on the shelf for our family loves to rip wrestling. And now they're hooked on Disney and SpongeBob
Oh
too.
man, listen. We don't have time for all that because this would be a long episode if we got into that. But
We would, yes,
yes,
yes.
but I want to get into a point you brought up. You talk about um, you've posted every day, like you've posted about like, hey, we're buying, hey, we're buying, hey, we're buying. So I'm going to get into that. But before I get in there, because it clearly sounds like there has been success at this new store very early in the 4 or 5 months you've been there. Talk me through the decision to go from a store you had been in a while, was a really nice store. I had seen it in person. You had a really good operation there. Like you had a lot of things going well. Like the shop was beautiful. Talk me through that thought process on okay, it's now time to take this to a whole different level because 1,400 square feet to 8,300 square feet is not a small transition, and I'm sure is not a minor expense. Talk me through that process to go from where you are to really the new home of RBI Crew 7.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, we had a two units over there. We had a 1,400 square foot online store warehouse, we called it, and 1,400 square foot retail store. Then we had an off location where we had stuff. We have a lot of product and a lot of things. We had outgrown that space a long time ago.
Yep,
So years ago, I started the process of I want to buy. I don't want to rent anymore. I
yep,
want to own property. I think I'm just throwing a lot of money away, and I have a lot of assets that I can move to buy a building. So where I'm at and where I wanted to be at in the town that we're now is O'Fallon, Missouri, which is just the next town over from St. Peter's, where you went to that shop.
yep.
And everything out here, for the most part, is owned by corporations, and they are just fine letting it sit. They don't care. They get their tax write-offs, and that they don't want to sell.
Yep,
We hired a realtor, a commercial realtor from a family friend that recommended him. That is the top notch one out in our area, and there's no question he was. We had hired him. We looked at a place closer to my house, and it was nice, but there was structure inside would have been hard to take down, and we had a tenant there for another 3 years under contract. It was a lot more than I wanted to budget, so we shot it down. Started looking through a couple options, nothing came. All of a sudden, we get wind that this location that we're in now was going on the market on a Monday, and we got wind of it on a Thursday. We looked at it on a Friday. We had made a verbal offer over the weekend. By Monday, we were in a verbal agreement with them in negotiations. One thing that helped us was the listing agent for this building was a customer of ours. Used to spend a lot with us, kind of took a break from cards, but it wasn't like he was, helping, but part of him wanted to see us get this. So we went back and forth for 60 days to get this contract done, and they basically had to end up paying more than we had offered to get it done. But at the end of the day, we felt like we still got a great price. We knew that this was what we wanted. This was it. This was everything we wanted and then some, and we knew it. But the biggest thing is we had outgrown where we were at, and like you said, that shop was nice. It was clean, good area, very busy area between unfortunately a Green China and the Subway. The Subway was fine. Green China, if you know the story about that. But we come over here where now we're freestanding. We're on an acre of land. We have 40 something spots. We're on Mexico Road, which is, if you look at my old shop, it was called Salt Lake Road, and here's Mexico. So this Mexico Road go down about 2 miles. That leads there. So fairly close.
yep,
But the biggest thing is we wanted everything under one roof. We were tired of doing storage to shop transfers, going to our other location. Our online is a big for us, and we had to keep track of everything that wasn't at this location. This location, it's here. It was a lot of work and a lot of stress on all of us, and we just knew we had outgrown it, and we had to do something. And I just could not settle getting 8,000 square feet and paying rent to somebody that isn't essentially me.
yep. 100%.
So again, here we are. Best out of every business decision I've ever made. This was the smartest business decision I ever made, was buying property, starting an LLC, owning it. I know you as well
Hmm.
do the same. And I just can't fathom, like, what I want to do is slap myself across the head. Like, why didn't I do this sooner?
Yep.
Then I look back and go, oh, there's a reason why I couldn't do it sooner. 5 years ago, I couldn't afford this. 3 years ago, I almost could afford it,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
again, I kept it's changed so much. I never thought, when the dream was to open a shop one day, it was to never own my own building. It was,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just want a card shop.
yeah,
I don't
100%.
care. It just got to the point. I'm like, we are ready for the next step. And again, now we're again, I tell people this is home. And for any of my customers that have gone to all three stores, I say you're one of the trifectas. You've done all three of our stores, and there will never be another RBI Crew 7. This is it. If we outgrow this, I am retiring. That is the words I'm telling everybody. I will not outgrow this. I will retire if that comes down to it. So it is my job to not outgrow this store. So that means I got to keep my buying in check, and Tyson's got to keep his buying in check.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's I think that's the dream for us too, is to have that kind of square footage. I mean, we have 3,000 now, 1,500 up, 50, 1,500 retail, 1,500 office, and it's it's hard to get everything in one building, but I think owning it is so crucial. So I've seen, kind of your blueprint for how it's done, so hopefully in the near future for us that is that's what's next. But you've talked about it, with buying, keeping it in check. You mentioned it's been insane since you opened in June. Talk me through, like, we see it every day. So you're obviously making a lot of content about it. How is that doing? And why do you think it's been so crazy with buying in shops since you've moved?
I don't know if the hobby's just shifted and it's become more people are going to Whatnot to join, auctions or mystery packs or what. I can't 100% put my finger on it, but I know the hobby is growing at a rate that we can't fathom and that it can't be controlled, which is amazing. But we're just seeing more walk-in than ever. And I don't know if it's because we're at the new location, because it's more buying friendly, because we're putting it out there more in content. I think a lot of it has to go with the content, because people are seeing, not only are they seeing what we're buying and going, oh, I want to buy that. They're also seeing that we're buying and they're like, oh, if I want to sell cards, I know where I need to go.
Yep.
We promote that we are here 6 days a week buying. The only day we're not here is Mondays. And it is unbelievable how many people drive up on a Monday and be like, oh, I thought you were open. I'm like, no, we haven't been open on Mondays ever since we formed in 2012. But
Wow.
again, I think the biggest thing is we continue to put that out there. And it's before we can even price the car, we are getting DMs, phone calls, emails. Hey, how much is that card going to be? And it could be just a $20 card, a $10 card. Customers are interested. And I think that's the biggest thing, is we're showing everything we can within reason, to where people are seeing it's not just $1,000, 3,000, 2,500. It's 5 here, 10 there. I mean, I came in, there was a 2-row box and Matt's like, oh, buying yesterday. Matt was our buyer yesterday. I'm managing that. This is just stuff sitting here that he bought yesterday. A whole bunch of boxes of just like, here's a Carson Beck auto. I mean, this is piles up, and
Oh yeah.
it's my job and my team's job to process it as fast as we can. So now we've evolved. It used to just be Neil does the scanning, Neil does the listing. Well, now it's Neil does the scanning, Neil does the listing, but then we've got Matt's doing the listing now. Then we've got Guru, Craig, he's doing the scanning and the listing now. And now I have all three guys working in the office with me, getting things on the website. It's my job to price the better stuff. It's Tyson and Nathan's job to price the lesser, 40, 50 and under stuff. And it's our jobs to get that process. If it's $5 and up, it needs to get on RBICrew7.com, and it needs to go on as fast as we can. Everything on my website at 5 and up is inventoried in our system, in our POS system, and in store behind the cases or in a box behind the case. So anything under that is the bargain boxes. That's not inventoried. That's just bargain box stuff. Yep. We just get that out, whatever. But everything else is the online orders, not just local people. The amount of people that have us shipped to them. One of our best regular buyers that isn't local is Mike Bev. You're familiar with Mike Bev? Mm-hmm. He's over in Boston area. Great guy. Yep. He scours my website all the time. He's on there buying 4 or 5 times days a week. I've got another guy named Rob Huner who does a pickup order every day. I got other guys that'll do 4 pickup orders in a day because they keep scouring my website for new listed singles. I think it's because we're putting it out there. We're like, hey, if you want this will be available online and in shop. We give you the opportunity if you're local and not local. And I think that's huge, to give that opportunity to all your followers. And hopefully we continue to grow with that, and people continue to see that our focus and effort is to continue growing our singles business, to go back to our grassroots. And our grassroots were singles we opened because back then we didn't have the money to buy wax. We couldn't afford
Yeah,
wax.
sure.
The margins, well, back then you lost a lot. You probably lost more than you gained, 13 years ago. So singles, I love them. Nothing gets me more happy in this industry than a price of card. It could be $5. It literally makes me happy. I feel like Rob Veras when I say that, but
Yeah.
I get it. I get what he's saying. Like, I get excited because Ryan, you're doing a lot of the back end stuff like me, and it takes you back to when you started, what you did. You put this time in. You had priced those cards. You bought that collection. You processed it.
Yep.
Well, now it's just done differently. But when I get the opportunity to get my hands on it, just get happy, man. I literally grabbed a 2-row of autographed football the other day, and I was like, I'm going to price anything from $5 to $50. I can let my other guys do it. I want to spend an hour doing that, and I enjoy doing that. But now it's our goal to get it on that website and out on the floor faster than we can. I'm trying to get to the point where as soon as it's on the website before we buy it, essentially is what I'm trying to do, but it's not going to happen. But I want to get that process instantly to get that out to our customers. If it's a card that we know it's going to sell, Power Pulis autographs, we cannot keep him in shop.
Yep.
Anytime I put a Pulis autograph, it's gone. I literally would buy thousands of them if I could. I cannot keep him in stock. And there's guys, you have that too. You have your local players, probably a lot of Ohio State.
Joe Burrow,
you just can't
Ellie.
keep them, get them out fast enough. Yeah, I mean, and it's crazy. So you have your following is. Let me ask you: are your singles in the shop? Are they online as well, or just shop?
Nope. Yeah, and no, they're not. And this is definitely a big thing for us. And this is kind of where my next question with you is going, is because this is a humongous goal for us, is to be able to buy things and process them faster. We have intricate systems here where we get inventory, and obviously content is a big part of our business. So content is very much a part of what we buy and how we process things. So when we buy things, there's a much more complex process from the time we purchase it to the time it gets out for sale. Oftentimes it's like 7 days. Like it is not necessarily the most efficient piece of our business right now. It is definitely a timely thing. We buy a ton. But that's kind of my question for you is, what made you, like, talk me through the decisions? Because if I know the early days of RBI Crew 7 to where you are now, it's definitely been a growth to get to where you are. Like when I saw it, a couple of years ago, you weren't processing this much inventory this fast to get on your website. But now you have things in both, in shop, in the showcases, and they're on the website. And knowing what volume you were doing back then to where the market is now, to how much of an emphasis you've put on it, it has to be substantial, but it hasn't been there. So talk me through how you have gotten to this point where you're putting so much inventory on your website so quickly.
I think it goes back to delegating out and
Yep.
it's teamwork effort. I mean, it starts with Tyson buying to getting it cleaned up to who does it need to go to get it priced, to get it back here. What's more pressing? Do we need to price this, I don't know, Pete Rose Leaf card, or do we need to price this,
J-Rod.
Julio Rodriguez
Yeah.
rookie card? Well, J-Rod,
Yep.
and I think that's been a big thing too. It's like, hey, we need to get out like Rico Dowdle autos. I went digging for some of him today. We need to get those out. That guy's had back-to-back
Did you
crazy
find
weeks.
any?
So I think a lot of it goes to, I found a couple. They were not. They're like
Wow.
$30 autos. I didn't have any.
Wow.
I still got to go dig, and I've got a couple of spots to look. But point being is, I think that's been a big thing too. Is yes, we know the better we want to get as many of these cards on, but I think it's picking and choosing your battles to who's hot now, and what's going to sell in my shop faster than anything. Is this a card that I can let sit here? I mean, like, I don't know. I'm
But
just
is
going to
the
grab
thought
something here.
process,
Like,
Ryan,
okay,
because you're putting it two places, is the thought process to turn over, like get through something that makes sense from like a hot perspective, like J-Rod, or something that would just sell in general, like a case hit, or like $1 invested in the deal? Like, what's the thought process on like is there one answer, or is it like a timely thing? Like what like how do you choose?
it's method of my madness. It doesn't matter about what I paid or the
There it
margins.
is.
It matters about the hotness is key. And you can go, hey, we don't need to focus on every one of these cards in this deal, but do I really need to get a Phil Foden game used jersey on Leaf Hunt? No, not right now. That's for a later date. But do I need to get on a Ty Simpson autograph? Absolutely. Do I need to get on, think of somebody else right now. It's
Jeremiah
just in
Smith?
general, just Cal
Jeremiah
Raleigh.
Smith?
Jeremiah Smith there. Jeremiah Smith. There you go. Jeremiah Smith, of course. But, like, I mean, Ohtani. We just
Yep.
had a guy buy $750 Ohtani cards off our website today of all rookie type things and literally just cleared out all our Ohtani raw. We just got those on the last week. Those are the things you have to go and say, let's go through this lot we just bought and what needs to get on it faster than anything. What's a card we can traditionally sell all day long? Griffey Upper Deck, 89 rookie. You could sell those like that. That needs to get on the website. That's been a key thing to determining, knowing your customer base, but knowing the market and knowing cards. And two, I don't know much about Pokemon. We bought a nice Pokemon collection. I can't look at a Pokemon card and go, that's worth 1,000, that's worth 500, that's hot, I couldn't do it.
Sure.
But when it comes to sports cards, and you could contest to this,
Oh yeah.
you just see it clicks.
Yep.
And my team is the same way. Tyson's like, hey, this is pressing, this is not pressing. This needs to go to you. We need to get, like, before the football season, our goal is to get on as many of the quarterbacks
100%.
from the 24 class as we could.
Yeah.
You wanted every one of those out because no matter what, only one of them usually goes this way. Every other one either does this or does this. Our goal is to get as much of that out and go, I don't care if the next guy becomes the next Mahomes. There's 10 other guys there that will not become anywhere near that. That'll be a bench player in 2 years. So point being is that has been a big thing for us, is knowing, is that a hot card? Is that a card? Case hits for sure. Got to get downtowns, kabooms, color blast. You want those out. There's people on whatnot. There's anybody wants that stuff right now.
100%.
Repackers or just collectors in general. You just got to pick and choose the battles and know, like, yeah, I'm probably never going to get to this other stuff. And if I do, phenomenal, but I have other staff that can. But let's go through this and get on what's hot and what's now and what the hobby wants right now. And I think that's been huge to put a lot of focus on that, because I can literally just list Griffey's inserts. You can look Jordan, Kobe's, LeBron's.
Yeah.
Can't keep them. Anything. $5 cards. Get them out. Those are the things that you need to be focused on, not just you in general, but I think hobby shops in general need to be focused on. They don't need to be focusing on some rookie receiver, or let's just use like Marshawn Lloyd, unless you're in the Green Bay Packer area or whatever, he went to college. You really think you need to waste your time pricing Marshawn Lloyd right now? What if he becomes hot in 5 weeks? Then go get your Marshawn Lloyds out, but put him on the back burner. Get out, I don't know, Puka before last week. Get out the hot guys that are performing in the hobby right now, or performing in the sport.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, I think, you kind of put it in there, and I've seen it firsthand, and you've talked about it before in some of the content we've done together in the past, but you talk about the method to the madness, and I think that's the thing that I've taken away from you is, like, it's oftentimes it's what works best for you. There's not like a right or wrong answer. It's what works best for you and, what clicks. And I think that's, I think that's been crucial. But obviously I could sit on here and talk forever, so I just have a couple more to, kind of wrap this up. You talk about it. You say, this is home. This is where we're at. If you get too big, you're selling. But knowing you, like, you're ambitious, you love doing this. I think that's so important in building something, like you've built, is you have to really love it. But being as ambitious as you are, I still have to ask, what do you think is next for you and everyone at RBI Crew 7?
I joke about selling it because it's just a way to keep me in check to not outgrow this. But no, you're right. I love this hobby. I've loved this since the moment I found it when I was, I don't know, 5, 6 years old. I've never stopped loving it. There's been times that I've, stepped away from it during, growing up as an adult. But my next thing is my hope is one day that my kids and Neil's kids and, all the other staff, I hope to pass this down one day to my kids. It would mean the world to me to do this with them. And if they want that, and that's up to them. I want my kids in life to do things that they love. I get to do what I love every day. Dude, when I was a kid, I'm going to just get a little personal here. 3 things I wanted in life. I wanted a blonde wife. 4 things. Blonde wife, 2 kids. I got 3, a 2-story house, and a card shop. I got them all plus 1, my youngest. That was my dream. What's my dream when I was a kid? You dream of doing something. That's what I wanted, was own my own card shop, was the end of it. And I've got everything I ever wanted, so I'm truly blessed. But again, the next step would be to stay here until Parker or my kids or even Neil's kid or Shermanic or whoever, we want this business to be here for the community as much as my team that's, my family. Everybody works under us. I care about their well-being. I care about their future. I don't want this to be a job and a stepping stone in the career. I want them to go, I want to work here and retire one day. That is my hope. And my hope is that my kids can take over and continue to do what we've done. I don't know what the future holds in that front, but as long as this industry's here, I'm going to continue to love it and to fight for it and grow the hobby in the ways that we know to grow and grow the community. And that's basically it. There's never going to be a second RBI Crew 7 store.
Yeah.
I can assure you
Yeah, I
that
talk about that
there
a
will
lot.
not be. I can't be cloned, and I don't want to be
Yeah.
in two places at once.
Yeah.
I'm very involved with my family, and I work more hours than I want to admit,
Mm-hmm.
and behind the scenes a lot. But do you really work when you love it?
Yeah. No. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. That's big. We share a lot of the same sentiment there. So, yeah, I would echo that. But I do have one last one. If you were starting over today, you've been in this a long time, you've built something really, really cool, you've done it the right way. If you were starting over with everything you've learned, everything you now know, what would be the first piece of advice you would give yourself?
First thing would be find a way to get more capital. Literally, don't, the amount of countless nights, the stress,
Mm-hmm.
the amount of stress. Even though I'm gray now, I'm also older and I got a wife and a daughter that give this to me. But I would say the biggest advice would be is to find a way to get as much capital as you can to be able to do what you want and not stress paying the bills, not stress to make it till tomorrow. But stay humble would be the biggest thing in my opinion. And I felt that I've stayed that way. I still in my eyes feel like I'm the same guy who had hundreds of dollars left in his account at times and barely surviving and things are just different now in a great way. But staying humble and staying true to who you are is key, and growing as a human being would be becoming wiser in the right ways and learning from mistakes.
Yeah.
Everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect. And when you make a mistake, you learn from it. And I made a lot of mistakes along the way, not awful, but just growing mistakes and financial mistakes. And biggest thing that I could say is just keep your head up, continue to love it. Dark days are ahead, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and that the future is bright in so many ways, and it continues to grow. And just continue to say who you are. There's so many ways I can't just break it into one way, but you get what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Is
Oh, yeah.
I like to give myself, like if I had that 5 minutes, like this is what you gotta do. This is the biggest thing is, don't stress it and stay who you are. Stay true to who you are. And I still have the same heart, and I'm the same person on the inside as much as the outside. So
Man, this has been a lot of fun. We don't obviously get to talk as much as we used to, just both building something we really, really love. But I said in the beginning, and I'll say it now. Like, you were just so instrumental in my journey, and I think sitting on this podcast for 40 plus minutes, yeah, I really remember why we got why I admired you and took so much advice from you. You've built something incredible, something I hope to one day build. But like I said multiple times, like you've done it the right way, and I've taken a lot of this advice to heart, so I appreciate it. Yeah, it's cool to watch from afar, and it's cool to have seen in person, because it really is special. So shout out to you, Neil, and the entire team there, because it's really cool. Well, one last thing, one very, very last thing. Where can people find you?
yeah, thanks. First off, thank you. I'm humbled, but I'm proud of you, and I mean that. I am truly proud of you. And you're right, we don't get to do this as much anymore. Our lives are crazy, but we're this. The best part about Ryan and myself is no matter what, if one of us calls or texts the other one, we always will take time for one another. And you text me to say, any way you can make this happen. I was like, of course, man, anything for you. And you would do the same for me. So that's respect along the way, but that's going back to grassroots. And I'm beyond. You're afar. We're watching afar. Love your new store, the new look inside the old shop, and the new look of it. I was showing Shannon it, and why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? I'm like, gosh darn it, why did I show Shannon that? But no, it looks great, man. I'm proud of you, and my phone's here anytime you need me, and I always be happy. I love to hear to the next journey that you're on before anybody else does. I always like to see where you're going next and keep it up there, Forrest Gump. But they can find us on social media, RBI Crew 7, RBI CRU 7 on Instagram, Facebook. Don't really do much of the X anymore. Don't really do the YouTube, but it's out there. And then our website is a big place, RBICrew7.com. You
Yep.
can buy any of our wax on there, any of our singles,
Yep.
any of that type of stuff. And then obviously we're in O'Fallon, Missouri at 9022 Mexico Road now. And O'Fallon, Missouri, we're just west of St. Louis suburb, about 20 minutes from the airport. So 35 minutes, 40 minutes downtown, 35, give or take. So
Love it.
again, Ryan, thank you for this opportunity, my friend. I appreciate it. I've been watching these cards and contents for a while, so I'm excited to be on this. Hopefully in the future, the next one we get to do, if we do it, would be in person out there visiting you
Yes.
would be my goal to do
Yes.
it. We just I gotta plan it. I gotta find your
Yeah,
schedule and
trust
my
me.
schedule and find something that works where we can make this happen. But thank you again, man.
Yes.
It's been a lot of fun, and we don't get to do this as much, but it's hard for us to take a lot of time out. But I'm always willing to take time out for you, and you know that.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I couldn't couldn't say much else. This has been fun. So shout out to you for coming on, and best of luck in the future.
Thanks, brother.
All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Another segment of Stockwatch with the one, the only, Gabe Card Stacks. My friend, how was your weekend in a crazy weekend of college football?
Yeah, it was crazy. I feel like there's a lot to talk about, and I'm all over the place. But there was a lot of good stuff. A lot of ranked games here. Indiana taking care of Oregon on the road. Indiana looks legit, and I'm all over that. Texas beating Oklahoma. Is Arch back? He was on our down last week,
Yep.
and now coming back up. Also had Ohio State take care of business with Illinois. I think Illinois is a good team. You did what you needed to do, and you move on. And then I think just Penn State in general losing. Now James Franklin out in a coaching search. What does that mean for just the rest of their season? Are they the new UCLA and just they're down bad, and are they just gonna get walked all over? I don't know. Also, Ty Simpson, big win versus Missouri. Now kind of the favorite in terms of Heisman. He was on our stock up last week, so those are just the quick, probably heavy hitters that I'll start with.
Yeah, I think I said it on last week's episode, and my biggest takeaway from this weekend, it's not actually James Franklin. I will get into that, but I made a comment on last week's segment. I said, you're going to learn a lot about the Indiana Hoosiers this weekend. And we learned a lot about the Indiana Hoosiers. They came to play. They beat Oregon in Eugene on the road. I think that's like, Brian, one of our guys, is a massive IU fan. I would imagine that's the biggest win in IU football history. It's got to be up there. Shout out to the fun fact of the weekend that Kurt Signetti has more top 10 wins in the last 30 days than James Franklin did at 10 years at Penn State. Fun fact of the day, James Franklin doesn't have a job now. So, obviously they might have saw that stat. They might have saw the loss to Northwestern and UCLA. We'll get into all that in a second. I'm definitely going to enjoy this Penn State chatter. But Indiana looks good. Mendoza's the real deal. I know we had talked about Surratt a little bit. He's the real deal. Indiana has some playmakers. That coach is a lot of fun. There was the conversation around like who has Indiana played? Like that's always the conversation. It was the conversation last year. They came into Columbus. That was a big deal. That was a big matchup. I was there for it. It was electric. Ohio State really, I thought played pretty well that game. Caleb Downs took the punt return back. That place was electric. It was an amazing game. Indiana lost to Ohio State last year, and then in the playoff to Notre Dame. So you're going into the season like, who, is this team for real? Is it the same thing as last year? Have they really beaten anybody? They beat Dante Moore in Oregon. Like, Ohio State didn't do that last year. Like, that's not an easy place to play. Very, very impressed by Indiana for sure there. The Arch thing, so interesting. Like, again, I feel like the only thing I've heard as an Ohio State fan, and I would love some like comments from the general public on this who listen around. It feels like everything I see on Twitter and on social is Ohio State hasn't played anybody. Like Ohio State hasn't played anybody, but Damon Williams, Jonah Coleman, and Washington put up crazy numbers. They only lose one time, and yet they're not ranked. So that doesn't count as a big win for Ohio State. Ohio State beats Texas in home week 1. Texas is they hadn't beat a Power 4 team. Like, Texas isn't back. Like, that doesn't count. It's like, then you beat Illinois, who is preseason number 9 in the country, gets smacked by Indiana. So we're like, is Indiana really good? Is Illinois really terrible? Not really sure. The Buckeyes go to Illinois, beat them. It's like, I mean, averaging, I don't know what it was 5.5, 5.6 going into last weekend points per game given up. I think Illinois scored, 14 points? I don't know the number in front of me, but I feel like the Buckeyes keep getting this, like, we don't beat anybody. We're going into Wisconsin this weekend to play a team averaging like 6.6 points in Big Ten play. Like, the worst in the Big Ten. They're the only team under 10 points a game. That team looks like a disaster. So I think that's on my mind, because the Arch Manning thing, like, John Mateer, we've had these conversations on the show that, like, dude, he looked awesome. He was a Heisman candidate 4 weeks ago before his, his hand injury. They score 6 points against that Texas defense? Like, that Texas defense has some studs on it. But man, we're going to talk about it in a second, right around that halfway point, mid-season in college football. What a time. What a time. It's electric right now.
Yeah. Love it. I am always trending higher on Ohio State each week, so I'm with you there. I do also share the frustration that Washington is not ranked. They're 5-1 with a one loss being to the number 1 team. I don't get it. I want justice for Washington.
All right, well, we could sit here and pitch the Washington should be ranked thing forever, but we'll get into some more of the takeaways from this weekend here in a second. I'm sure they'll come up in this conversation, but we got to kick it off with the usual here, the Stockwatch. 3 up, 3 down. We'll start with 3 up. Who are our 3 guys up this week?
So, for the first time, we've got someone who was stock down. Now they're stock up.
Okay.
Nico Iamaleava.
Wow.
UCLA.
Wow.
But, okay, so when they were 0-3, his autos, I remember his base autos were like $10, $15, and I'm like, yeah, I'll pass. There were some crazy golds at like $50. I'm seeing them run up at auctions now, and they're getting snapbot. It's just insane, the turnaround that they've had. I'm a big Jerry Neuheisel guy. Just this guy's just a wizard. Literally, they were the laughing stock. Everyone was clowning on Nico for the last 6. Yeah, 0-4. So they're just clowning on him for the last 6 months. They're 0-4. They're like, are they going to win a game this season? And now they've put up 80 points in the last 2 games. And Nico actually looks like he could be something here. So back up. Those prices were so down bad that it was like, do you even want to touch them at $10? And now people, I don't even think you could probably find one under $30. So Nico, just insane. I don't know if you got prices up or what you've got.
Yeah, we have a couple up right now. Brian's got them up here. Card ladder shows the sale from Brian. What's the top one? Bowman Chrome PSA 10 auto sold for $65. You've got a Big Kahuna auto did $130 as an SGC 9510. That's pretty solid. You've got a green auto raw, did $36 oboe, or $36 was up for best offer. Refractor auto to $299, did $40, surprisingly better than a green. Variation to $25, sold on October 12th for $76. PSA 9, it was an auction. So shout out to Car Ladder for those sales. Just pulling it up there, just seeing what his stuff is sold for. It's funny because I feel like I'm referencing some of the points I've made previously on the show because I talked about it with you're going to learn about Indiana. But I remember saying, like, there's no optimism for me around Nico's cards. None. Like, they're terrible. They're not winning a game. And I was like, at least Drew Aller and Cade Klubnik have the draft type. Like, I don't see it with Nico. They look horrible. Like, he's obviously got the questions around, like, leaving Tennessee and chasing the money. Like, those questions were coming up. They beat Penn State, and then they beat, again, Aiden Childs and a Michigan State team that does not look very good. But regardless, like, they hadn't won any games at all. His stuff has definitely shown some life. It's certainly, let's just also be clear, like, it's nowhere near where it was. Like, these cards got insanely high at one point. But yeah, definitely some life into those. And again, I talked about it with comparing Klubnik and Aller, where I said there was some optimism there. definitely a sad situation for Drew Aller, a guy that comes back to school. Like, as much as I do not want to see Penn State win, I am a Buckeye. Like, it is, shout out to Tyler and Bobby and the guys from Card Talk. I have family that is, Penn State fans. It's obviously a lot of fun for the banter around Ohio State, Penn State, just like Ohio State, Michigan. Like, I love college football. I love talking about it. I love the rivalry. I love that banter. It makes it fun. Like, I love when Penn State loses. Love it. Like, it makes me happy for sure. But to see a guy come back to school to win a national title, to be preseason national title picks for a lot of people, like, there's a lot of talent on that Penn State team. You take Jim Knowles from Columbus, who just won a national title with the Buckeyes. Like, there's a lot of things to say. Best running back tandem in the country. You've got one of the best draft prospects in the country in Drew Aller. And then to see Drew Aller get hurt and out for the year after losing 2 games in a row, going 3-3, tragic situation. Like, just to see him get injured like that, like, the guy would have been a what? What would Drew Aller have been last year? Top 5 pick? The Browns, I don't think, would have passed on Drew Aller at 2. No way they would have passed on Drew Aller. A Cleveland kid, there's no way they would have passed on Aller at 2.
Yeah, I mean, going into after the Big Ten championship game, they were like, "Yo, he's got buzz for 1-1 overall." And I mean, NFL scouts have been dreaming of this kid since he was a freshman, and he's the prototypical 6'5", 230 rocket arm Northeast kid, and he's just always been a draft radar guy. So yeah, very unfortunate. Been a 4-year guy. Never a rumor in the transfer portal for this guy. He's been loyal, wants to come back, win it all, and unfortunate.
Yeah,
so.
For sure. All right, who's number 2 this week?
All right, number 2, Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver, USC.
Dog.
He is number 2 in the country right now in receiving yards, number 1 in Power 4, among Power 4 wide receivers. He's coming down with everything. He's getting clips every single weekend. He's just been doing it all, coming down with Odell-type catches, and he's been climbing up. His base autos at one time were probably $7-ish. Now I just sold one this morning for $30. So they've definitely jumped up over the last few weeks. I have a gold auto on eBay for $90, and I'm getting offers around the $70-$80 range, but I'm just going to hold out. That's been one of my guys. I really like Mekhi Lemon. Wide receiver 1 is a very interesting debate for this 2026 draft. You've got Carnell Tate, you've got Jordan Tyson, Mekhi Lemon, just Denzel Boston, I think, is up there. So just a lot of different guys in that conversation. So it'll be interesting to see. He's a smaller guy. I think I value size a little bit more when you get a Carnell Tate or a Denzel Boston type guy who's 6'3", 6'4".
Yep.
But I think Mekhi is certainly in the consideration for All-American and one of the top first-round, top 3 wide receivers being taken in the draft.
I mean, his stuff is definitely moving in the right direction. I mean, you had a wild card auto to 3 sell this morning for $54. That's a strong sale. You have a yellow auto to 75 from Bowman Chrome doing 52. You've got a fuchsia auto 1 of 50 doing 42. You've got another fuchsia auto to 150 doing 42. These are all October 13th. What was that, yesterday? National, what's that? National red auto to 5 from this year's national, so non-first, just from this year's silver packs, did 185. We've got a gold BGS 9510. Rookie auto did 150 2 days ago. I mean, I was gonna bring this up, but it feels like USC. You've brought up Maivia before on Stock Up. You've kept a close eye on him. I know we had talked before. There was just, you're I'm not really sure. Going into the season, what he's gonna be, and USC seems like one of those teams that's just kind of flying under the radar in the Big Ten. I think they're 5-1 at this point. They, it's always the Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan. You bring in, a lot of the Pac-12. Oregon's obviously in those conversations now, and you're seeing Cignetti and IU at the number 3 team in the country. It doesn't seem like USC's really been in that conversation a lot, but here they are with 5 wins. They just beat Michigan. They have one of the best receivers in America. Interesting. I'm keeping an eye on USC here. We'll see what happens. A lot of football left. They've got some big games. I'm going to assume they play Notre Dame at some point this year.
This week.
Right on cue.
Yeah.
Well, I said it last week. You're going to learn a lot about the USC Trojans this week when they play the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. One of the best passers in the country, in my opinion, is CJ Carr. Notre Dame was one of my preseason picks to, potentially win a national title. I feel like it could have been Ohio State, Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame is really good. We'll learn a lot in South Bend this Saturday. It's gonna be a fun one to watch.
Yeah. So I'm in. It is a shame though. USC down to their third string running back right now. They lost Eli Sanders for the year,
Yep.
and then Waymon Jordan, the number one JUCO kid. I think he's out for like 4 to 6 weeks. But their other kid, I'm blanking on his name. I think it's like Anthony Hill or something. He had like 186 yards. Looked good. So might still be on track. But bummer to lose your top two.
Yeah,
back,
USC's what a schedule coming up. Notre Dame at Notre Dame at Nebraska, home against Northwestern. Let's not sleep on Northwestern. Penn State might have. Let's not sleep on them. Then they've got Northwestern at home, Iowa at home. Then they go to Eugene, November 22nd, and they finish up with UCLA, who has scored 80 points, won 2 weeks in a row, and has the number one guy on stock up this week. So we'll see what happens with USC, but definitely a solid start.
Yeah, I'll be watching. So
Number three.
Another wide receiver, Elijah Surratt, Indiana. I don't know, his prices might not be necessarily like trending up. He's only in Leaf. I think most of his autos sit at about $20 or so, but
Yep.
I was gonna leak his name when I was talking about top five. Like I think he's in that top five for NFL draft consideration.
Wait, top five
and
wide
you could
receiver,
go
right?
for-
Not like top five overall pick?
Yeah. Sorry,
Okay.
yes, wide receiver. So yeah, in that group for wide receiver, and yeah, I mean he's doing it. He's been doing it. He's a JMU kid. Came over with Signetti, 1,000 yards each the last 2 seasons.
Wow.
I think he's in the top 10 in receiving. So I like him. I'm watching him. You could have gone Mendoza here. My one thing why I didn't plug Mendoza in is because he had that late pick 6, and I just that turned me off a little bit, and it could have cost him the game.
Yeah,
so otherwise Mendoza would have been there. But I wanted to show Elijah Surratt some love.
Yeah, like you said, doesn't have a ton of cards, but his Leaf stuff does sell pretty well. You've got a green, says blue Shimrado, looks to be green. Either way, just sold on auction on the 12th at $26. Leaf Pro Set Auto to 60, $12. Hot Flash Pink Auto from Leaf to 7 did $5. Like, honestly, that seems like a deal. I feel like this is one of those guys that you could probably buy we'll get to the value box play in a second. This seems like a guy that, like, I can tell you, if I saw his auto in a value box, like, I would have to do a double take, like, just because, like, with no logos on there, like, I don't necessarily assume, like, this, like, it could be any red school, like, the jersey, Indiana doesn't have a lot of logos on their jerseys to begin with. So, like, looking at this card, like, you could say there's a bunch of different teams you could say this card is, he's associated with. So I would probably pass over this. This seems like one you could find in a value box and probably make some plays on right now. Indiana is incredibly hot. Like, again, our guy BK loves the Hoosiers and, like, loves them. So I would imagine for a guy that's the best receiver on the team, one of the best in America, who only has Leaf or, just Leaf autos, this could be a sneaky guy to keep an eye out for in the value boxes.
Yeah, I could definitely see someone going to their local card shop and seeing this for $3 and then flipping it next day for 20.
Yep,
Easy.
100%.
Very good value.
Yep. All right. Well, we got to talk about stock down. We a couple guys you could put on here if you come to mind, but I'll ask you, who are the 3 guys on this week's stock down?
Yes. So we touched on it a little bit. Drew Aller, just unfortunate season-ending injury now. I think a couple of folks have said he could apply for a medical waiver and appeal the process. It's probably too soon to realize, like, I feel like sometimes you get the rumors of, like, oh, they plan to appeal this and get it, like, granted. So a little too soon for that. I'm curious. He played 6 games, so you're past the 4-game mark. But if he is ineligible for the rest of college football now, is he like a late day 2, day 3, 5th round guy? Like, it's just going to be hard to tell. And I don't know.
Did they say what it was?
No, I think it's just a lower leg.
Yeah, like when he left the game, like when he's on the cart, you could see him crying. He had some kind of like sleeve or some kind of brace thing on his right leg. That's what it looked like to me, was some kind of leg injury. It didn't appear to be anything on his knee, which, like, again, like, I think a lot of us out for the year kind of assuming with something like that. Like, I mean, Achilles, knee, ACL, MCL, PCL, something like that. Like, I'm going to the knee. but I didn't see it specifically stated. I just knew right away, like Franklin announced it right after the press conference, Drew is out for the year. So didn't see what it
Yeah.
was, but yeah, obviously tragic.
Yeah. So now the debate is it, do you sell at rock bottom now? Do you hold it? Do you stash it? And you're like, hey, you're going to, bank on a healthy recovery. I don't know. But again, just with Penn State's trajectory being out for the year, I imagine his prices continue to drop. So unfortunate on the stock down there. Next one. Josh Hoover, TCU
Mm,
quarterback. I wanted to throw him in here just because they lost to Kansas State. Kansas State was a laughing stock at the beginning of the season. They're kind of turning it on right now. They could have beat Baylor. They blew a lead in the fourth quarter, and then they had a blocked field goal to go for the win versus Baylor. But then they come back. They beat TCU. I thought that was impressive. But just compared to where Josh Hoover prices were, he probably had some crazy like red auto sell in the hundreds of dollars at the beginning of the season. And now with 2 losses, I just feel like he's probably coming back down to earth. He is a junior, and he does seem very loyal to TCU. There were rumors when Nico left, hey, let's go throw a bag at Josh Hoover, and he's like, no, I love TCU. I'm pretty sure he's a local Texas kid. He's a very like cowboy kid, like a Texas like quarterback. As much as you could see a Texas quarterback, that's what he is. So I don't know. I don't think he's like a transfer portal guy next year. But he's a guy that I'm keeping an eye on for the 2027 draft. I don't imagine he goes this year. Maybe he could, but he's a guy that I'm holding on to. But I do imagine just from where he was beginning of the year, down.
yeah, I don't have his like early season stuff up, but you've got some base auto. There's a $20 sale. There's an out of 10 red best auto PSA 9. Just did $82. It's got some leaf autos that do $5-10. So he's got some decent sales. Probably not bad for a guy that did just lose to Kansas State. Fuchsia auto to 150 sold I think before the game. I think the 8th was Friday or Thursday. Did $43. So some stronger sales for a guy that again you think the peak selling opportunity is still a ways away. Still a decent market, but yeah, I'm not sure how much ROI there is in the short term for a guy like that.
Yeah. So I just felt like preseason he was a hot name that came on late. So number 3, staying in the Big 12, Sam Levitt, Arizona State. Had a mysterious injury early or like mid last week.
Yep.
There was the clip of like Kenny Dillingham squirting him with water to simulate the Utah rain and everything. And then suddenly like Wednesday, Thursday, they're like, oh, he's doubtful to play, and then just out. There are Twitter rumors all over that it was a friendly basketball pickup game.
Oh,
That's just a rumor, but it's out there on the internet. And then it looks like he's doubtful for this upcoming week versus Texas Tech, which is a huge game. I think the line started at like 5.5 in favor of Texas A&M. Now it's at like 10.5 or 11, with him being doubtful again. So unfortunate because he was one of like the darlings, the sleepers, almost like a little before John Mateer, and then John Mateer came on late in the offseason. But he's kind of just that crafty little guy who can run and throw and kind of do it all. ASU without Scadaboo, that was kind of a question mark, but just got smoked by Utah. They lost 3 guys out for the season after that game, so Utah just beat them up
yep.
pretty good. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Another loss. They dropped to 4-3 at that point if they lose at Texas A&M or Texas Tech.
Yep.
So, kind of on watch there, just to see what his prices do. I'm curious, but could be a buy low.
Yeah, his stuff was pretty hot going into the season. He was definitely one of the I wouldn't say one of the mainstream guys because it feels like the mainstream guys are the guys we continue to talk about: the Lagways, the Allers, the Klubniks, the Nussmeyers, the Arch Mannings. He seemed to be in that second group of guys, almost with like the Josh Hoover, almost with the Ty Simpsons, guys like that. But his stuff was moving. He was in the Panini Gold packs. He's been in like Leaf. He's been in a few different things. But like National Gold Packs auto out of 10 did $425 September 16th. Yes. There's also an August sale for a gold auto that did $455. So those are big sales for a guy that could potentially, miss a couple games, be on a 4-3 team. There was, again, made the playoffs last year. Should have probably beat Texas. I will argue that was a missed targeting call later in the game that would have probably set Texas or set Arizona State up for an opportunity to win. But yeah, his stuff moves. 90, what is that? Leaf National Convention 101 auto, $90. National Silver Wave auto to 25, sold on October 8th for 150. So again,
Wow.
some strong sales for a guy that's got, 4 wins and is missing time right now.
Yeah. So yeah, he rounds it out, but this was close. Up until like recording, you were like, "Are you stressed?" And I'm like, "Yes, Ryan. I don't know who I'm putting on my down three because there's kind of five guys. I'm putting John Mateer and Bryce Underwood on watch. Not quite on the stock down, but they've got some big games this weekend as well. But they're close, and I wanted to put them on honorable mention stock down.
Interesting. Well, it'll be exciting to see what happens with those two. Again, Mateer had a lot of hype a few weeks ago. Underwood's had a lot of hype for a long time, but um, we'll see what happens. All right, I mentioned it earlier. We are right around the halfway point. I think this is like halfway for college football season. A lot of football still left. We're going to get into some really good games. I can tell you my Buckeyes play some big games coming up. Regardless of Penn State's injuries, their coaching, regardless, that is still going to, there's still a lot of talent on that Penn State team. They come to town, have obviously the team up north here in a few weeks. So I know I'm excited, but there's plenty more big games in college football. Let me get an idea from you on where we stand right now and who we're keeping an eye on as we head into the second half of the college football season.
All right. Well, Ryan, I'm gonna say something nice about Ohio State. I am I like they're just trending in the right direction. Like it's just a team. Like their team is just dominant. Like everyone's doing it on defense, everyone's contributing on offense, everything's going great. And so I'm just keeping an eye on them. Like Julian saying, I haven't really tracked his auto prices. I did send one to grading, and I am curious. I'm hopeful for a 10 there. But yeah, I'm keeping an eye on Ohio State, of course. They just continue to win. They look very dominant. They look like the most dominant team. I trust them. To me, it's just still mind blowing how they were able to like replace a $20 million team, and they're in position to win back to back titles here. So say something nice about Ohio State. I like them. I'm rocking with them, but that could be bad news for you, Ryan, because sometimes you don't want them to turn into the Clemsons and all of that. So Ohio State, though, I'm watching. Also Miami, so obviously kind of chalk here, going 1-2. But I love Miami's schedule the rest of the way. But we do know Mario Cristobal. I've said he can lay a stinky on you. So they play Louisville Friday, which it makes me a little bit nervous. I'm not a huge Louisville guy, but that's just one of those weird, spooky games on a Friday night that he just kind of drops. So I love Carson Beck's schedule the rest of the way. He's like 1-2, like very close in the odds with Ty Simpson for the Heisman. So I just like the path there. A couple other guys, Texas A&M. I think I've talked about Marcel Reed before. I trust the team around them as well, very similar to like Ohio State in a sense.
Yep.
And I think we talked about this on the phone the other day. Like I think we are talking about Alabama versus A&M, and it's like I like Ty Simpson and what he's doing with Alabama, and he's kind of been balling out, but like Marcel Reed hasn't yet had like that game where it's like he's been okay, and the rest of the team's been doing it. Defense is holding guys under 10 points, so Marcel Reed is very interesting to me. Like he hasn't broken out yet. It could be like this is just Marcel Reed, and he's got a good supporting cast, an elite roster around him. But I'm watching them, and then of course Indiana. So I guess 1, 2, 3. Not so amazing here, but Indiana, what they do. Oregon, do they bounce back? Those are some of the teams that I'm looking at. Looking at my list here. Texas Tech. I really like. They went out, they spent all this money on the portal, and it seems to be working. Is that the new model in college football? Ohio State did it last year. They bought a bunch of guys. Texas Tech is doing it. Are they going to be legit? It's going to take some time for people to be like convinced that Texas Tech is legit, but I mean they bought everybody in the trenches. They've had elite wide receivers. They've got a great quarterback. Very injury prone, but they've also got a solid little redshirt freshman to back him up if he goes down. The running back, they've got a solution. So I'm impressed with Texas Tech, and I'll be riding with them for a minute.
Well, as we sit here right now, halfway through the season, you have to place a wager for the Heisman Trophy in early December. Who are you making that wager for?
Man, I would say Carson Beck, just because I think that they've got the path to go 12-0, and he's already at the top. And Ty, like just with the uncertainty of Alabama and just the SEC play, and just you like that's a tough little gauntlet you've got going on at the end of the season. No matter who they have, so just one or two losses I think could be the difference, and I think at the end of the day, voters would value Carson Beck undefeated going to Miami and with an elite defense. So I would lean with Carson Beck, but I don't think it's locked up by any means either. Like Dante Moore could come into play back. You got Fernando Mendoza who could continue to win. So, and I'm sure odds on Mendoza are probably closer to like 600 to 800, and like Ty Simpson and Beck are at like 200 to 300. So it's not locked up by any means, but I think just easiest path right now in college football, Miami, Carson Beck.
Yeah, and I love that. Again, as an Ohio State homer, the idea that Ohio State would have won some of the games they won, I would think Washington will be ranked by the end of the year. I mean, they should be ranked now. But to also play Penn State and to play Michigan, like, those are going to be names. I think if Ohio State goes out and runs the table, like, you're obviously going to meet, at this point, you would say Indiana. Because I saw a stat the other day that said, I think it was this morning, Ohio State, Miami, and Indiana, the top 3 teams in the country, do not play a ranked team the rest of the year. Obviously, Michigan and Ohio State, that still, throw the rankings out the window. We lost to a 7-win Michigan team last year. So I still think that game matters, but I still look at it and say the best player on the best team, and I think that person will reside in Columbus. If Ohio State wins out, like, I'm Sayan's going to have the best completion percentage in the country. Like, he's going to have some solid numbers. Like, we'll see. I think Carson Beck is going to make a great case for it. Mendoza, again, if he can continue to put up numbers and they can continue to win games, we'll see. I mean, Ty Simpson's going to get some quality game, some ranked opponents here coming up. Like, he's got LSU, he's got Auburn, he's got Oklahoma. I know those might not all be ranked. I know Oklahoma's ranked. I don't think Auburn is currently ranked, but I know LSU's like 10, 11. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting second half of the year. I'm hoping for the first time in a long time one of my Buckeyes can finally get it. Just, like you said, to reload like that would be a lot of fun to see somebody actually win it on a team that, if you look at the roster, you'd say, okay, maybe this team's not as talented as last year's roster. Like, last year, you know how many starters we had to replace on defense? I'm going to make the argument time and time again. You'll never hear me stop saying it, that Arvell Reese is one of the best players in America. Like, that, if you watch Ohio State games, if you watch the clips, like, look at what the scouts are starting to see it, right? The scouts are starting to see it. It's being talked about on Twitter in the college football world. What Arvell Reese can do, like, he's getting a lot more buzz on defense than Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles. Now, he's a lot more involved. Caleb Downs, like, most people aren't throwing at Caleb Downs. Most teams don't throw that deep on Ohio State. But Arvell Reese, like, if you ever get a chance to watch a Buckeye game, dude, he's something else. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to see what happens in college football. Another 12-team playoff, like, who's getting in, what teams lose out, like, where these teams finish. Like, it's the best sport on earth. Obviously, that's, we probably share that opinion, but man, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm with it. I think we've still got a lot of time, and there's going to be just some crazy conversation when you get to that 10, 11, 12, 13 range to see who slots in. There's going to be multiple lost teams, and we're just getting started.
Well, I love it. More to talk about very, very soon. Hopefully, by the time next week's episode drops, we'll have the ability to get the Bowman Chrome U checklist. Hopefully that drops soon. I would love to be able to talk about that and prepare people for the biggest college football release of the year. It's supposed to come out in a few weeks. So hopefully in next week's episode, we can talk more in depth about that. And then, as always, recap the weekend that was. So shout out to you for another fun episode. See you next week. All right. Shout out to everybody who made it this far. Shout out to our guy, Ryan Banister. Again, if you guys are ever in the Missouri area, check them out. But like he said, they load up the website with cards, with product, so much stuff. Definitely, if you want to support some great people, Ryan and his team are at the top of that list. And then shout out to my guy, Gabe Card Stacks. Always fun to catch up and continue to talk college football cards. It's just such a big part of our brand. We buy a lot of college football stuff. We sell a lot of college football stuff. And I collect a lot of Ohio State stuff. Just the college football segment is actually a much bigger piece of our brand than I think people would realize. So fun to continue to grow that market and to continue to talk about it with someone who is extremely knowledgeable and also a good person. So it's been fun to continue to grow that. So if you guys ever have any feedback, whether that be interview guests or segments in the Stockwatch you'd love to hear, would certainly welcome those with open arms. So reach out to us on IG at Cards and Content. Feel free to email me, Ryan at cardcollector2.com, whatever it may be. Happy to, listen to that feedback. Would just love to hear on different ways or ideas you have that we could continue to develop this and to continue to provide value. Not a crazy release week. There's some other things in here, like some TriStar signed items, but not doing a ton of memorabilia. We kept it pretty short and sweet. Actually, one of the lighter release weeks. I would imagine the rest of the year. You have Disney Wonder and 25-26 Upper Deck Series 1 hockey. I'd have to see who the big chase is in Series 1 hockey. I don't keep up with the hockey market as much post Bedard. I know Celebrini was in there, but is it Lane Houston? Hudson Houston, the kid for the Canadians, I know is a big one. I don't keep up with it as much anymore. Brian's trying to pull it up now. Young Guns, Zane, who is that? Zane Parake, someone for the Flames. Again, don't know it as much. I know Series 1, Series 2, an update for hockey do numbers. Those are just great collector products. So we'll definitely move a lot of that. That's just, again, great for collectors. And then Disney Wonder. I feel like we've talked about it a lot the last 3 to 4 episodes around this idea of like the growth of non-sport. Disney just released Chrome not long ago. You have Disney Wonder. We certainly did not get a lot of this as a company, so I'm going to be interested to see if it's more of if it's less printed than Chrome. Obviously, Chrome has grown a lot since 23, with this being the 3rd year it's released, and then adding megas and blasters and some retail to it. But Disney Wonder, going to be interested to see how that product does. Definitely excited to rip it with my wife and son and see what that looks like. So a little bit of a longer episode, it feels like, especially with the one thing on my mind in the beginning and talking about growth and the Whatnot sale. Just feel like this was a little bit of a longer episode. So if you listened, sorry to ramble, but hopefully we were able to talk about some cool stuff this week. So shout out to those of you who made it this far. You guys seriously are the real MVPs. But for now, that is all I got. Peace, guys.